Hey everyone, in today's video we're going to show y'all how we raise our jumbo Coturnix quail. Alright, so we're here in a basement below one of our buildings, and that's where we keep our incubator. And for our first one we bought the Hoverbaiter 2370. It'll hold about 50 or 60 chicken eggs, or it can hold up to 120 quail eggs. Since we raise jumbo Coturnix, they're a little on the big side for the eggs, and so so we have these quail egg trays that we'll swap out, and each one can hold 20, but I space them out with my turner, and so I only use 5 trays so I can hatch up to 100 quail eggs. And so we hatched out a batch 2 weeks ago, and so like right now we have chicken eggs in there that we're hatching out. But to do the quail eggs, you set them in there, and we keep it between 99 and 100 degrees, and then we keep the humidity somewhere close to 50%, and then that seems to work really well. And so we'll do that for the first 14 days, and then after that we'll take the eggs out, we'll candle them, and if we see that they have started to develop, then we'll take the egg turner out, we'll set them flat on the mesh tray that's underneath the egg turner, and then we just let them sit there for 3 or 4 days, and they start hatching. I think this last batch, around day 17, maybe early on day 18, they started hatching out. Yeah, and with our first attempt at hatching quail eggs, it was a complete failure, and we're going to do a video on that soon, so be sure to subscribe to our channel and click the notifications so you can see that, so you'll learn from our mistakes so you won't make those same ones. But our problem was that we had a faulty hydrometer, and the screen was messed up, and I thought it was reading in the 50s, but I think it was actually like in the 90%. So we had the humidity way too high, and none of them developed, and so it was just a complete failure for our first attempt. But with the new hydrometers, they seem to be working good, and they're pretty consistent with everything. So, and like I said, we've hatched out a batch successfully with this new hydrometer. And that's the one downside to the Hoverbaiter 2370, is it has the temperature gauge, which seems to be pretty accurate, but they don't have a built-in hydrometer, which would be nice if they had that too. So this is the first part of the quail setup is our incubators. So now let's run on down to the barn, and we'll show you where we put them after they hatch out. All right, so here we are with our brooder box. And this was a little bit of trial and error for us, trying to figure out what would work and what, just made the most sense. And so what we ended up with was a 3-foot by 8-foot brooder box. And we have it divided into 4 compartments. And so I have these little 2x2s that are screwed in here. And then this little board right here, I can take that and slide it in here and, only open up whatever space I need. So with this, so basically I have 4 2x3 boxes that I can make. It's all 1/2 by 1/2 inch PVC coated wire, and, pretty much all just 2x4 construction. It's pretty simple build, and then for the poop trays though, we actually get these at an auto parts store. They're just little oil change pans, but they seem to work pretty good. And I found too that if you keep that little blue liner on it, they last longer. They don't rust out as quickly. But so for that batch that I was talking about from the incubator that we hatched out 2 weeks ago, so they moved down here into this first bin, and we had about 60 of them. But we sold some, so I don't know, there's maybe 30 or 40 left. So they just get a quail chick starter or a game bird chick starter, and as long as they have that and fresh water. And then for that first week we try to keep it under the heat lamp, like around 90-95 degrees, and then we try to reduce it by about 5 degrees every week, which is kind of hard to do because our temperatures vary so much as far as like adjusting the heat lamp up and down. So we just kind of do the best we can with that. But they're at that point now where they were kind of getting a little crowded in their first thing. So You know, so all I had to do was take this plywood board that was right here, pick it up out of that, slide it in the next slot, and now I just doubled their brooder space. You know, and so this will be plenty. And also under this one is actually a piece of plastic that we have, just because like when they're, you know, day or two old baby chicks, I feel like that 1/2x1/2 wire is still too big for them. And so we have that, and then they have just pine shavings that they're on for the first week or so. So these guys are about 2 weeks old now, and in another probably another 2 weeks, they'll actually get moved out to the ones that we're going to save for, or the ones that we're going to process for meat. They get put out on pasture, and the ones that if we want to add some more egg layers, then they'll go to another set, which I'll show you, where we collect our eggs. So as I mentioned, after the brooder box, you know, they're going to go to either one of two places, either the outside pen, which we'll show you next, or this cage where we use for collecting eggs. You know, and so this is 2 foot by 6 feet, I believe. And we have about 20 hens up here with 3 roosters. And then these are just the hens without any roosters in there. We're coming out of winter, so the days are getting longer, but we do have a supplemental light that we just leave on throughout the day to give them a few extra hours at night. And but they do really well here, and it's the same kind of setup as far as the trays go. It's those same trays that we have under the brooder box that we use, and it's all still 1/2x1/2 wire. That's their floor. And at this point they switch over, well, when they start laying their first egg, we switch them over to a game bird layer. And the main thing that I can see difference in the feed is the game bird layer has more calcium for the shells for their eggs, and they seem to be doing pretty well with it, you know. And so to collect the eggs, it's pretty easy. I mean, we just lift this, you know, and all the eggs are right here, you know, that we can gather, you know, and 99% of them just come out, you know, clean, because they're not sitting in anything, and just makes them easy to harvest. As far as the setup of this too, we have 5-gallon buckets up top that have water tubes that run down, and we're trying 2 different waterers here. Anybody that raises quail, they're really messy animals, and so I like this one because they just kind of bump that little yellow thing and it squirts out water as they need it. This one, I think with any other animal it would be great, but with the quail, they'll get in there and they'll just kind of splash it around, and then it gets on the poop tray, and so then there's water down there and it gets heavy and kind of messy that way. But I do like these, just maybe not for quail. And then we have just your standard chick feeder that we use. I think we may try to do some J-hook feeders next. You know, they're messy and they waste a lot of food, so we're still trying to figure out what the best thing to do for that is. You know, we've tried, you know, this method, and this seems to waste about as much food as the other one. I haven't noticed a difference, so we're still experimenting with that. But again, same thing, all the trays, makes it easy to clean them out. And so with the jumbo Coturnix, if you look at this one, this one's a male, and you can tell because his chest feathers right there are kind of just a rusty color, and they don't have the little speckled spots on them. You know, so that's a way to tell. And then this is going to be a female. If you look at her chest feathers, they have the spots on them and stuff. You know, and one of the things that we really like about the jumbo Coturnix is they start laying eggs way sooner than chickens do. So again, this is our first, you know, set that we've raised to this age. But with them, on day 39 was when we got our first egg. And by about 7.5 to 8 weeks, they were all laying very consistent. So, which is, you know, it's really nice. You don't have to wait, you know, 4 months or so, or 5 months for a chicken to start laying eggs. And they lay about 300 eggs a year. You know, so they're really good egg layers. Obviously, they're going to be a little bit smaller, but they taste really, really good. All right, so now let's go take a look at our Quail Tractor there where we raise our meat birds in. All right, so here we are. This is our tractor that we use for the quail that we raise for meat. And obviously that's empty right now because they're still in the brooder box. But in another couple of weeks, we'll put them out here, and that way they can eat grass and bugs, and they'll fertilize our fields, and we just scoot it around every day. And the way this one's made is I actually took some cattle panel and bent it around, and then used another, that's what I had laying around. And so it has the structure is made from cattle panel, and then I just wrapped the whole thing in this 1/2x1/2 wire to keep them contained and safe from predators as well. We raised one batch like this and it worked great. It was easy to move. And we just didn't have any issues with it. So, you know, and it's pretty lightweight too. You know, we just put handles on each end. So, I mean, if you're out here by yourself, you can either pull it or, you know, we just, you know, pick it up and shift it, and then I'll pick up the back end and shift it around and swing it, you know, and then that way they'll have, you know, a whole nother patch of fresh grass to eat. And, you know, I could tell a big difference where they were last year as far as the greenness of the grass. It really seemed to make a difference in our fields. So I'm hoping that, you know, in the future we can build a few more of these and get more out here in production wise. You know, but so far for this one, our first attempt at a movable quail tractor, this seems like, you know, a pretty good solution. And like I said, our goats are around here too, and so I don't have to worry about them tearing it up or anything. It's a pretty strong structure, you know, so I think it can handle the goats jumping on it and stuff. So yeah, I'm looking forward to putting some quail out here here in the next couple of weeks, and then those will be the ones that we'll raise for meat. And for the ones that we raise for meat, we normally process them at about 8 weeks. And I think the first batch that we did, they might have weighed about 6 ounces after they were processed. You know, normally I guess for an adult serving, maybe 2 quail per serving. But they tasted really good. We wrapped them in bacon and cooked them on the grill, and they were delicious. So we really enjoy that, and it's you know, just a good thing to add to the homestead, to, you know, just have one more thing of a source of food that kind of makes us a little bit more self-sustaining. So anyway, so that's our setup. I hope y'all enjoyed it. If you have any questions, you know, feel free to leave them in the comments as usual. I'll be happy to answer them. And yeah, and then like I said, stay tuned for future videos that we produce from our farm.